Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nairobi Health Show. I am Coach Dave Sherwin, and I've got Dr. Douglas Steinbrech on the StreamYard live podcast today. Dr. Steinbrech, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Dave, I'm so excited to be here. It's really an honor. I'm a big fan to your show and to what you're doing. So really a great honor to be here today.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for coming. And it's exciting to have you because you're going to bring some kind of outside the box thinking to the show. This is a unique episode, different than anything we've ever done. As a matter of fact, let me just read your bio quickly so that people get a feel for who you are and where we're going here. So Dr. Steinbrech is here to cut through the taboo of why it's not traditionally okay to talk about men's physical appearances and the effect of the lack of self-confidence that can have on business and productivity. He's passionate about getting men's attention off of their body so they're no longer held back by insecurities. And he claims men's skin is not as thick as you think. Well, mine is, but other guys probably struggle.
Other guys, right? Absolutely. Not you.
Point taken. I get it. Dr. Doug is described by Forbes as the go-to surgeon for men and is one of the nation's most sought-out experts for men's surgery, leading the new wave of techniques in the accelerating field of men's aesthetics. So, in a field that is dominated with female patients, you have gone the male route. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Dave, it's kind of always in my life. When everybody's going left, I go right, and I enjoy it. You know, it's fun. The way the genesis of this whole thing was, I finished up medical school. I went to NYU. That's where I did my general surgery and my plastic reconstructive surgery. NYU is sort of like, it's kind of like the Harvard for plastic reconstructive surgery. Just really outstanding surgeons come out of there and really great training. And I was here in the heart of New York, and I said, you know what? I want to be a great plastic surgeon. I want to be one of those snuffy, snotty kind of plastic surgeons up on Park Avenue. I'm going to have my cute little office, and it's going to be just a gem. And we're going to do facelifts on ladies, and we're going to do mommy makeovers and everything like that. So I started my practice, and I had great training, ready to do it. If they build it, they will come. And all I heard was crickets, you know. And after all this work, all this time, I was heartbroken. Where are all those people? I did all this. I had the capabilities. And what I did is I started making a shift. I read this great book that everyone should read called Blue Ocean. And it's Finding Your Blue Ocean, a place where you can make your own business, make your own life where other people aren't living it. And I realized it wasn't so much me. It wasn't so much my training. I had good training. It was that I was diving into a red ocean where everyone on Park Avenue was doing, they wanted to be the same facelift god and wanted to be the same mommy makeover god. So I just said I had so many friends, guys that wanted to have their abs done or were worried about the weight or something like that. I started doing them, and more and more happened. I started doing the abs, and they say, hey, you did my abs, my chest is a little short. Can you do something about that? So I started yeah, sure, maybe we'll put in a pec implant, or maybe we'll do some transfer to enhance that. Then we started doing shoulders, traps, abs, glutes, everything. And not just aesthetic things, but we started doing reconstructive things for kids that fell out of a tree when they're 8 years old and they had spindly little arm and a big muscular arm, or guys from the gym that ripped their biceps doing preacher curls. So we just started doing a lot of different things and trying to be innovative about different things to try and help these people. And after that, I made a New York website just about men's plastic surgery. It became viral. We took down the buildings. We put up a palm tree in Beverly Hills, and then we started going out to LA. And now this week, we launched our Chicago branch, Alpha Male Plastic Surgery Chicago. So we're expanding to the Midwest, which I'm really, really excited about.
Alpha male. Okay.
You got it, baby.
I love it. Now, this is an area of health, of course, that we don't, at least on this show, we don't talk about very much. Now, the aesthetics is critical, of course. I mean, who can honestly say that part of why they want to be fit is not because they want to look better? Our appearance is part of it, for sure. And here on this show, we don't talk a lot about it. Most of the people who listen to the show are middle-aged, between the ages of 30 and 60, typically. Many of them are married. Many of them have had children, and just basically middle-aged health enthusiasts. And we talk a lot about nutrition, fitness, supplementation. And of course, there's a variety of reasons why we all do those things, right? And longevity is one of them. And general fitness and feeling good is another, and sleeping well and having a good libido. And there's many reasons, but of course, we want to look our best. I mean, there's a reason why right now at this time of year, millions of Americans are trying to lose weight because they want to look better come summer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of what we do is everybody, listen, we all go to the gym. In fact, those are my best patients. 85% of my patients go to the gym. They all go to the gym. They all watch their nutrition. So what we have is we don't have what that stereotypical plastic surgeon of some person getting overweight. They don't want to go to the gym. They've eaten too much and they just want to go see their doctor. They're lazy. They want to just get it sucked out. That is not my practice. My practice, I have men and women who are very fit, or they've made a dramatic transformation from a nutritional standpoint with massive weight loss or some other reason. And what we're doing is we're looking for patients who have hit the wall from a genetic standpoint for some reason. So they go to the gym all the time and they work really hard, and everything they do is about nutrition, diet, and exercise, but they just have a little bit around their love handles, which is it's Darwinian, it's I call it caveman fat, because your hormones change after you turn 30 or 40. And then guess what? You're going to have pockets of fat no matter how much you work out those areas. And so we hit the areas to have people feel better about the complete thing. Or maybe they don't go to the gym as much and they've been taking care of their family, paying attention to their job. These are my daddy do-overs. And they kind of lose sight of themselves. They kick out, they have a couple kids, and they've just been paying attention to the family and the job. Well, what happens is they stop going to the gym because they've lost that boost. And so what we do is we try and sort of get them back into it. And what we can do is kind of give them some help to help them feel good about themselves. We call that body banking, where we take out the fat. We actually take out our bad areas and we put in good areas. So then it gives them bigger shoulders, bigger traps, bigger chest. So they have a really nice contour, and it really works. It's one of those things that sounds too good to be true. It probably isn't. This is one of those things that really is true. That's why we're operating on Saturdays in 3 different cities. So this is the kind of thing that really helps people boost their desire for even more fitness, more diet and exercise. And I've had so many patients where a guy will bring in his boyfriend or his husband and he'll say, you know what, I just can't get this guy off of the sofa. He's a couch potato and he really won't do anything. And we really tune him up. He gets so excited. He gets more excited about diet and exercise that at 55 years old, this is a guy that never really went to the gym a lot, who is now going to the gym 6 days a week and really paying attention to his diet. So it's really been fantastic for some of those people.
It's kind of a chicken and egg thing, right? Like there's a significant amount of people who don't want to go to the gym because they don't look good. And if they could go to the gym, they feel like they could look better. That's an interesting thing. I want to back up from it and tell you something kind of interesting. I was an e-commerce guy before I ever became a fitness guy. I've always been interested in fitness ever since I was a child. It changed my life. I've told my story before on the show that I was a very shy, backwards, awkward, skinny guy as a teen, low self-confidence, low self-esteem. But I was taller than some others and was able to play basketball. And playing basketball was a beginning in my introduction of how I could do something. I could do something a little bit better than other people could do. And I was a little bit taller. And basketball was very formative for me. So ever since then, I've loved health and fitness. But I went into e-commerce in 2003. And during that time, one of the things I did just kind of on the side was buy and sell URLs. And I think you'd be interested to know, maybe you'll appreciate this. Yeah. I own aestheticprocedures.com.
Wait, you own which procedures?
Aestheticprocedures.com.
Very good. I think I just bought that from you before lunchtime.
It's for sale on GoDaddy.
I got it at around 11:30.
Hey, if you bought it, then GoDaddy's going to give me about $2,000 because it's been sitting there for sale for a long time.
Yeah.
So wonderful. We did business together already. That's fantastic.
No, I'm actually I'm passionate. I'm an entrepreneur, and I established a company about aesthetics, alpha aesthetics we call it, for men. And one of our first acquisitions was a 14,000 square foot factory that makes surgical instruments in Carson City. And I bought it because because I wanted to create more innovative, from surgeons for surgeons, innovative products and projects for people in surgery. So I'm really into it. I have about I think I have at this point about 160 URLs. Some of them are like stored and tucked away to make sure nobody else tries to steal our stuff, because I'm really into branding. And then I have a lot of branding. So some good ones, some funny ones. Did you know, Dave, you'd be shocked some of the things that have never been trademarked. One thing, I'll give you a silly thing: turn fat to fit. You think that someone would have trademarked that 25 years ago? No one ever trademarked. I trademarked that a year and a half ago. Turn fat to fit. Trademark.
Interesting.
Registered trademark. And then other things like body banking. That's where we take out the bad fat and we put in your shoulders and your traps.
Body banking.
Body banking.
Body banking.
You bank the fat. People have been doing it a long time with those BBLs for the ladies, tucking it in to the derrieres. But I put it for the guys to put it up in the shoulders and the traps. So when you're watching Netflix a year from now, it does two things. When you watch Netflix a year from now, after you've had old-fashioned liposuction, the Park Avenue kind of liposuction, the Beverly Hills kind of liposuction, you have that ice cream while you're watching Netflix, and the carbs from that ice cream, the calories from that ice cream, they don't magically pass through you because some doctors said they did liposuction. What happens is you get compensatory adipotrophic cellular hypertrophy. What does that mean? That means the other cells that were not removed compensatorily will take on those carbs and compensatorily enlarge. So if you had an Aunt Susie or Aunt June that said she had liposuction, but then her thighs started getting fat or her belly started getting fat, she had more trunk obesity. She's not making it up. It's true. It's a dirty little secret, and it's a dirty little lie that the plastic surgeons tell you. What you want to do is you really want to bank the cells on the outside for structure and volume, not only by addition and subtraction. We get a better overall physique, like a sculptor will make a statue with wider shoulders, an Adonis with a bigger chest and a smaller waist. That's what I do. I don't just throw the clay away. I use the clay in better places. But also it's about the post-operative metabolism of fat cells. So we do it not only so you have that bowl of ice cream, your shoulders get wider, your traps pop, and you get more cleavage in your pecs, and women get it also in their chest. But also it's your insurance policy. Because we bank it on the outside subcutaneously underneath the skin, you're less likely to get visceral fat. I call them liposuction cripples, where they've had liposuction 5 different times for God knows why. No one ever banked it anywhere on the outside of their body. So what happens? They just go around the world, fancy restaurants, and all the good cream from all those rich French sauces goes right to the only fat cells left in their body, visceral fat cells. And they come out looking 10 months pregnant after having liposuction 5 different times. And those are liposuction.
Wow.
So it's a real thing.
Now, let's get off of, let's start, I want to call it the vanity side. There's the vanity side in all of us. We want to look our best, of course.
Sure.
But you're not doing surgery just on people who are trying to cheat the system, like you already mentioned. There's people with genetics that are just not ever going to get the way they want, no matter how many hours they spend in the gym. I'm thinking of a coach I had, for example. She's an amazing coach. She probably had very low body fat. I doubt she had higher than 10% body fat, but no six-pack abs. Right. And that was a complaint that she had. I heard her say it several times. She's like, I am so fit. I work so hard, but it is not in my genetics to have a six-pack. And it bugs the crap out of her. She's coaching all these other people, and they might end up with six-pack abs, which is kind of the holy veil of the whole vanity side of fitness, right? Is flat abs. But flat abs and six-pack abs are not the same thing. Can you talk about why some people can naturally have a six-pack and others can't?
Right. It's just like you were born with hazel eyes or you were born with green eyes, you were born with blue eyes or you were born with brown eyes. The way the anatomy is laid out in your abdominal structure can be completely different. And people think that everyone just has a six pack, but anybody that like watches fitness or looks at the covers of the magazines or looks at bodybuilding magazines, you see many times they're off kilter, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, as I said, really has a four pack. He has a couple of little abs down below. But then you see other people that have 10 and 12 packs. And people think that's just because they do more sit-ups. Not at all. It's all it is when they were born as a tiny little baby, the way their abs were structured and the way the tendinous attachments, just like some people, we all know in their bicep, some bodybuilders have a short belly, some bodybuilders have a long belly, and that can give them more volume. Same thing for abs. Some people have a 3 and 3, some people have a 2 and 2, some people have a diastasis where the 3 and 3 is spread apart. And then some people are missing different parts of the pec muscle, for instance. So not everyone has a perfect six pack. And what happens is because of those tendinous attachments don't give them a nice muscle belly, they can do all the sit-ups that they can because they don't have that long muscle belly, and each little ravioli and each little six pack of the rectus is called the rectus muscle, with the sheath in front, the sheath in back. Because they don't have that, they can't build that, and they can't have that etched out look. So, and we have even some people that I call spaghetti abs. That means the tendinous attachments that are supposed to be like a tic-tac-toe are actually totally messed up. They were just born and all the tendons go everywhere, just like that, just like spaghetti. And for those people, no matter what they do, they're not going to get a six-pack because they don't have the exact configuration of what a standard 6 or 8-pack would look like. And so for those people, we kind of cheat a little bit because they look so good.
How do you do that? You actually rewire the muscle or what?
I wish I could. We'll get there. We're working on a way to do that. What we do is a couple different things. First, I designed abdominal implants. And what we do is we carve them down to tiny little implants, so just a little ravioli, and then we just tuck them underneath the fascia in the configuration of a 6-pack or an 8-pack. And then when they do a sit-up, the muscles behind, even though they're not really well organized, they'll contract and they'll push the silicone implants forward through the skin to work anatomically, to move anatomically, to create the illusion of a six-pack. Then it matches the big biceps, the big chest they have, so that they can feel like they're more complete, you know? And so that's a way for people that, again, didn't get the right genes in the right area. I always say Mother Nature, like she took the morning off to have a cup of coffee, and that's right when you're going through to get your abs done. And then, the afternoon she came back and you had beautiful pecs and great biceps. So everybody's got a little bit of a difference. We also do it for, like I said before, for people that have had injuries or something like that, and they have a nerve injury. There's no way that they're ever going to get the muscular development, and we just want them to look to not have anyone notice, and that's my goal. And I've had some amazing patients where they have a 21-inch bicep on this side and a 12-inch bicep because they had a nerve injury on this side. And I can slip an implant underneath the bicep, and they're not cheating. I mean, they can lift 3 times the amount of weight of what I can. They work their buns off. It's just they had a nerve injury, and this is one of the things when people get a little persnickety about aesthetic plastic surgery or reconstructive plastic surgery. Sometimes they don't know all the good things that they can do. So just like all the haters, just take a step back and know that there are a lot of good things that we actually do for good people. Not everyone is bad that either does plastic surgery or wants to have plastic surgery. A lot of people that are just good people that are just trying to catch up and look normal. And so that's what we do. We slip it underneath the bicep muscle, and so that they can get beautiful symmetry to the guns. So they, even in a polo shirt, forget about trying to be Mr. Olympia, even in a polo shirt, just playing golf or playing basketball like Dave likes to do, they can look really good and not have anyone point out what's wrong with that guy's what's wrong with that guy's arm there. So,
do you have many physique competitors or models that are coming in to make up for genetic type deficiencies like this?
Yeah, we actually do. We have some patients that are physique models, and they have, like I said, they have one thing that isn't going right. We actually, interestingly, I have a lot of IFB bodybuilders, and they've done a lot of pec development. And what happens is the sternal attachment. So you have the origin and the insertion of the muscle, right? All you people are fitness people, so you know that much. So the origin of the pectoralis major and minor are on the sternum. And so what happens is these guys, the muscle starts to pull away and they start to get an emptied out portion, even though they were top-notch bodybuilders. And some of them were, in the top 5 for Mr. Olympia. And at first I saw one or two of these things, and I was like, oh, that's a version of Poland syndrome, the disease where people are born without a pec major or something, but it's just a mild one. I said, it doesn't really pull away. Nobody has that. And I saw 2 and 3, and then they started showing me the pictures, or I went on the internet, because these guys really are famous, where you Google them. All the Google are from this particular bodybuilder, because he's a really career kind of person. People find me because not a lot of people do male plastic surgery. We have a textbook, and we have like websites in 3 different cities, national website. So like people find me. So I started to see 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. And what happens is that over time, the attachment just wears away and they have an area that clears out. So for these people, we can rebuild it either with an implant, a subcutaneous silicone implant, just to get the match up. Some people say that cheating. Well, you know what? If your aunt had breast cancer, would you say you're not allowed to cheat? We're not allowed to make a breast. And I know it's cancer. Yes, I know. But people who have been career bodybuilders, who are very, very proud of what they've been able to do with their body, they just want to keep what they had, what they made, what they spent every moment in a gym to do. I think they're allowed to do that. So we can do, in some ways, help them complete what they have, because it's not their fault that the muscle started receding. So we have a lot of different kind of interesting scenarios. That's one thing. Another thing is gynecomastia. A lot of guys, took some steroids along the road. Now they made that deal with the devil where they're going to do steroids. They don't care if they don't care if they die. They want to be Mr. Olympia. Right. And they don't care. And you see the YouTube videos of the last 30 bodybuilders that have died because of steroids, 50, 10 a year. But they'll make that deal with the devil. But some guys wake up and they realize, no, I want to live. I have a family. I have a wife. I want to go.
Right.
So they stop. And after they stop, they whittle down a little bit. They do their best with supplements, like what Dave does. But they're left over with a little bit of gynecomastia, man boobs, we call it. So I'll go in there and I'll take off that tissue. So that's something what a lot of fitness guys do, because everybody's at the gym. They're really into fitness, but they want to just they have that one summer. They're like, this spring, I'm gonna be I want to look great at the beach. And they even a lot of guys, I would say 20% of the guys that I say, maybe 15%, they have that one summer where they just experiment with steroids. They do it for the spring, they do it through the summer, and then after that, they kind of think, what, maybe this isn't worth it, and they stop it. But they've just done 3 or 4 cycles. So I have a lot of guys that I dig out the gynecomastia, but I don't make a big incision. I can make a tiny little nick incision. I can strip it out. I call it a clam strip. I pull through the clam strip so they don't have a big nasty scar there. So a lot of innovative things that we've been able to do to avoid scars.
And that condition happens naturally too. I knew a young man, maybe 16, 17 years old, who had that. He was very conscious of it, and he was very embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
It was a self-esteem inhibiting experience for sure.
Absolutely. That's one of the few indications where we'll operate on people that are younger than 18 years old, is because the gynecomastia is so prominent, and they really feel teased when they're in gym or in the locker room. They don't want to take off their shirt. They don't want to play shirts and skin. They don't want to go over the basketball court. They're afraid they'll be picked on the skins team instead of the shirts team. They don't want to take that risk, so they just don't go over by the basketball court. So it is an issue. We can help these guys before they turn 18, because we know nothing's going to change after 18 years old.
Right. And that's a very interesting side of what you do. You have that line in your bio about men's skin is not as thick as you think. And so for many men, this is so it's not I'm not sure what the percentage breakdown is here. I mean, there's a huge difference between physique competitors and models they make their livelihood from this, so they need their body to be absolutely at its best for their profession. And then the people who, really have something like you described, the arm that's different, the chest that's misshapen, whatever the case may be. So, is there any feel for the difference between these things and kind of how many men are living with conditions like this that are fixable by a guy like you that is not just to look better than the next guy, they just want to look their best.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you said that, because I just put up a YouTube video, an informational video about pull-ins. And again, pull-ins is the disease where people are born either without a pec muscle, a pec major, it could be a pec major and a minor, or it could be the entire arm. Women have it as well, not as commonly as men. Women can be missing the entire breast and an entire arm and all the pec muscles. So varying degrees of phenotypic expression. So, you have the genes, but do the genes become transcribed into and then translated into proteins that results in the development of that? So different phenotypes or how heavily the gene is expressed, let's say. So, but for the people most of my guys are just kind of missing the pec major, and some of them are not even really sure that what it's called or that they even had it. They just knew that they always thought that one pec was bigger on the other side rather than one was smaller. Now, this is my good pec. Well, that's not it. This is the bad pec. So I put out an education video, and now there was one when I was at the Beverly Hills office, when I was in California office, Joe, I have a male patient coordinator. He said, today's Poland's Day. And we had one day where we had 4 patients. And this is like a very rare disease or disorder, genetic disorder. We had 4 patients that had that we saw in one day. I could not believe it. So there are a lot of these people that didn't even realize, well, number one, they didn't necessarily realize they had it. They came across it and they're like, holy moly, I've had this all my life, never realized it. And the second thing, people don't even realize that this can be done. I mean, another thing is for massive weight loss. People have massive weight loss done. They have all this hanging skin, and they don't realize that they can have it snipped off. They're the same people that never realized that they were capable of losing the weight. And we can do dramatic changes. Talk about life-changing changes for patients that we do a 360 torso tuck body lift, tucking the shirt into the pants, lifting up the chest, doing a free nipple graft, Dave, I snip out all the skin through here, and I have their nipple is hanging all the way almost down to their belly button. I have to completely take it off, reconstruct a normal chest. I call it IPF, infrapecal fold, and then we pop the skin graft, the nipple right back on top in a normal position. And if you look, you can see in my website, you can see in the gallery or on the YouTube channel, you can see like the incredible differences for these patients. And I mean, humbly to be a part of the team to be able to do it. But I'm so proud of these patients and what they're able to achieve in terms of losing the weight, but also to be able to get back to the gym and get back to things. And some of them, we had one patient that just won a body banking competition. Now they have body banking competition for people that had massive weight loss, and so that's a specific class, which is totally
interesting.
Totally cool.
Yeah.
And he just kicked butt. He just ruled the thing. He looks amazing. Looks like he never even was heavy, because he got in such amazing shape. And this guy's an alpha guy. He's an A-type personality. And he decided he was going to work so hard. He's going to work so hard. And then he started putting on weight. So he's just going to, let's see how much weight I can put on. It's just like one of those people. And then after he put it on, he's going, no problem, because as much as I put on, I'm going to take it all off. Just one, and I see a lot of those people. It's people that
interesting.
It's really.
What are the top surgeries that you do on men? What are the top 3 to 5 that are the most common?
Really, the torso tucks, and we're going to see a lot of those in Chicago because I grew up in the Midwest, and people can eat a lot of mashed potatoes out there. I know because I used to. And but a lot of people lose a lot of weight, either with fitness, like y'all do, like we all like to do, or with surgery, was stomach stapling. So we do a lot of 360, 270. That means we do 3/4 of the way around, and we snip it all off. And then we do body bang and put it in the shoulders. That's the most common. Then the other most common things is like sort of my standard daddy do-overs, which is taking all the fat out of the neck, taking all the fat out of the belly, putting it in the chest, the shoulders, the traps, so that they can have that bowl of ice cream while they're watching Netflix.
This issue with the skin is an interesting one. I've been in weight loss for 11 years now, going on 12, and one of the challenges people have is if they lose a lot of weight, they got skin problems, and we get people asking all the time, what do I do with this? And I don't have a good answer.
It's a challenge, and really the best, they can be feeling really good about their weight loss, and you can even see through the skin. You see through the skin, you're like, that dude is ripped. And from here on down, when they're just above the screen, they look great. They have great delts, they have great chaps, a great chest. As soon as they lift up, then you see everything, all the skin drips down. And for those people, if we can just pinch out the skin, which is not, everybody thinks, oh, wow, this is the biggest surgery. Like, I can knock out a 360 torso tuck in about 3 hours. So it's not like, you see on those those Discovery channels, dun, 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 they're going in for the 16-hour surgery. We'll see if they can come out alive. I can kick one of these out, a 270 torso tuck with some body banking. We can do that in 2.5, 3 hours. If I do a chest lift as well and a 360 torso tuck with a thigh lift, I can bang that out in 5 hours maybe, because we just have a good team and we move along, and it's not a first rodeo. We do, 3 or 4 of them a month in addition to all the other surgery we do. Do 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 cases a week. So we're pretty busy with surgery, but we do a lot of these, and it's not, it's something that's achievable. It's also, I hate to see people that they do lose all the weight and they're afraid to do the surgery because they think it's so dangerous. It's not really dangerous. We're pinching out skin. We're not moving any muscles. We're not cutting through anything. We're just pinching out a little excess skin. And it's funny, even after surgery, people get up and they just feel like are they paralyzed? No, you're not paralyzed because you're moving the same muscles before surgery. All we did was snip out the skin that's on the outside of you, and you still move every bone, every tendon, every muscle, and every ligament. So it's really it's really something that's quite manageable. And I feel bad for all the people that have massive weight loss, that they feel like it's such a big deal that they kind of overthink it. And if they find just a really good surgeon and look at their gallery and see all the massive weight loss people that they've done, we call them the biggest winners on our side, sort of a play on the biggest loser, because we don't think they're losers, we think they're really winners. But we have a big gallery full of them on our website, and they're like really some of my favorite patients.
Well, many of them have got to be worried about the cost, right? I mean, cost has got to be a huge concern. I mean, as a lay person, we all think, the minute we hear the word plastic surgeon, we think big bucks, right? So there's got to be people who are just, scared to even know what it's going to cost them.
And the thing is like everything, what insurance pays for, and this is another horrible thing, and I'm going to be a little political here. Everything about surgery is like about politics. Like, what do we think should be paid for? And a lot of times some special groups can get things covered now because we as a society feel that, of course, breast cancer has always been one of them, which is completely legit. And I believe that, absolutely. But, what about when a man has breast cancer? Or what about when a man has some other issues that are equally as disfiguring, like Poland syndrome? Poland syndrome should completely be covered by insurance. It's not. Gynecomastia is not.
Interesting.
Usually not. The massive weight loss things, some of them are, but you basically have to bag, and you basically have to lift up the extra skin, and you have to throw peanut butter underneath there for 3 days so that you'll get a really nice yeast infection. And you can finally, get some doctor to sign off about it. I'm being facetious. This is not what I'm doing. But this is not
right.
what I'm saying. But you get my point. It's
Yeah.
really inhibiting your life to having all this extra skin around. But because politically we think, oh, these people, it's their fault that they got heavy. It's their fault. And even though they have debilitating issues because of all this excess skin, their insurance company nor the government will feel that it's not suitable to be covered by insurance. And listen, I'm not trying to be a gazillionaire. I'm not driving around in Lamborghinis, and Ferraris are not my cup of tea. I drive a Jeep in a Jeep truck, and you can drive out to my house in Long Island, and you'll see an old Wrangler, and you'll see a Cherokee out there. But I'm not looking to have a big bunch of cars. I want to help people, but it's expensive for the practice. We have a lot of quality people, good quality people in our practice. It's expensive. So the surgery, a lot of people think, oh, it's because of the surgeon. It's like to run a very effective, very professional, high quality medical surgical practice where people are putting their trust in you. And on top of that, to get excellent results, you need a very expensive, a good team to be able to achieve that. And so that means we can't do surgeries for nothing, and we can't do it for cheap. So it can be a good thing. One thing I will say to people, it's better to save up your pennies if you're going to do that, to go for someone that has better quality surgery, and you just have to look at their galleries, and you just have to look at the reviews and see what kind of stuff that they do, rather than going somewhere cheaper or going to a different country that if you have an infection or something like that, you may be out of luck.
And so how many insurance patients do you get? Is it just tiny, like almost insignificant, or do you get any that are covered by insurance?
We do. I would say it's not a lot. It's probably somewhere between 3% and 4%.
Right.
And I would just say that's more of an issue with the insurance companies rather than the people. So it's sad because there are a lot of these things that truly should be covered by insurance, but because it's not the sort of the political flavor of the day, you don't have a lot of people, or because there's so few people in that sort of classification that you don't they don't have enough people behind them to be able to get insurance to get Washington to have insurance provide for them.
Right. So for those listening, though, that have been living with something that they're really unhappy with, that is not something they're going to be able to fix through hard work at the gym, this is an option for them. They really ought to consider. I know it. I've had a lot of experience with a dermatologist because I've got skin cancer in the family. I've had a very mild case of skin cancer, has had to be removed, and I have to go to the dermatologist once a year. And so because I've had experience with dermatology, and this is so judgmental, but I just often see people with stuff on their face that I think you can just go to the dermatologist and get that off, right?
Right.
And I just wonder if people just don't know. So it's interesting, and I'm sure from the neck down, it's a similar thing. How many people just aren't aware that there are issues on their body that are not going to be solved naturally? And obviously, we want to solve all the problems naturally that we can.
Right.
Some of them just aren't going to be solved naturally, and they need a surgeon.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like I love when I have dinner. I go to fancy dinner out in Long Island, and these beautiful people be sitting across the table, and they're gorgeous and they're rich and all this. And they say, "Oh, you're a plastic surgeon?" Well, I would never have plastic surgery. And I call them rich baby genes, because if there's enough money around, they just keep on marrying like more attractive people, and soon enough, the family does become beautiful. I don't care what you started with, because
good point.
More beauty, it blends in, and the kids look gorgeous, and the dad looks like hell. But anyway, so I say to these people, well, wow, it's so nice of you to feel that way, because you naturally are beautiful, and not everyone has the perky little perfect nose that you have. And so is that is that really fair? And then the other people at the dinner table will say, well, I would never do anything. It's so unnatural. And I could see the gray roots underneath their jet black hair. And I said, well, I say it in the most polite terms, I was just saying, you know what? I completely agree. We all want to be natural. And that's why I think like it's really good to be natural. Like you wouldn't want to wear makeup, you wouldn't want to dye your hair. And I can hear people like just choking on their wine next to me because they see what's happening. And this woman is so horrible that she's got her jet black dyed hair saying how natural she and her life is and how she would never.
Right.
So I'm like, it's just too good. It's just too good. I can't resist.
Yeah. I mean, inside, like I said at the beginning, all of us want to look our best. That's just natural. It's just human nature.
Sure.
We want to look our best. And of course, and this is a health show. I mean, you said something to me interesting, very interesting, as we were chatting before the show. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so change it if I get it wrong. But basically, you're saying most of my clients are healthy. These are not people who have ignored their health for many years and then come to me to just magically fix them. Many of these people are doing their best, but there's something they can't there's something in the genetics they're not going to overcome.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the other thing is we see, I mean, everybody needs to be healthier, particularly in COVID. And I mean, I had COVID way back in March and I've been vaccinated and everything. I think everyone should get vaccinated. I get really upset when I hear all this anti-vaccine thing. And if you can hear anything from me, the only thing from hearing me tonight is that there's no conspiracy and we all need to get vaccinated because it's just like Tony Fauci says, if we knock out this virus, if the virus doesn't have an opportunity to replicate, then it can't mutate. If you don't shut it down, if you don't get vaccinated, then it can replicate, it can mutate, then we get variants that get out of control and they may not be covered by the vaccine ever. So you have to let go of all these anti-vaxxers and all that anti-natural stuff. And you have to say, like, you have to put faith in the medical community. And it's okay. Like, if you want to go home and give your family, and I mean this sincerely, you're free to go home and give your grandparents or grandparents COVID. I think it's horrible, but that's your business. But the thing is like, I think we all as a community, and I mean that in the broader spirit, we all as a community, we owe it to our brothers and sisters, and particularly our older people, that we just stamp this thing out and we don't allow it to replicate, and we shut it down so it can't mutate. And that's why it's so important. You can do whatever you want. You can be against vaccines. You don't have to do it. But then just wear a mask for the rest of your life and stay in your apartment. But don't contribute to spreading around if that's the way you feel, because you will contribute, even though there'll be herd immunity. There's a possibility that you could be contributing to the ability for the virus to continue to replicate and then mutate and creating these variants. And that's not fair to the rest of your brothers and sisters in our global population. So that's just the way I, as a random physician, feels. And if more people can get that and more people can tell other people, then I think we'll shut this whole thing down and get back to life,
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think you make really great points, some of which I hadn't thought of. So I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories. At the same time, it's been really sad in the last year or so to see the degradation into our science and the things that have been said that are absolutely unconscionable. The politicization of things, the massive amount of crap politically, and I throw this out there. I don't care if you're on the left or the right or the middle. There's been so much crap. And we've even had outlets like the New England Journal of Medicine that used to be so trusted state things during the George Floyd rioting and whatever. And again, I'm totally supportive of equal rights for all colors, races, genders, etc. And I'm not against any of those things, but when we take those things and then we say unscientific things,
right?
We have seen. I mean, that we've as a society thrown gas on the fire of the conspiracy theorists, because we've given them so much ammo.
Right.
And it's really been annoying in 2020 to watch. All that being put aside, for myself as a healthy person who's been exposed to COVID several times, I don't know if I have the immunity or the T cells. I just don't know. I've been tested negative, but the tests aren't 100% accurate. Well, I was kind of thinking I'd just wait for everyone else to get the vaccine and not worry too much about it because of the statistics of healthy people without comorbidities. I just thought, well, once enough people get it, I probably don't need to. Not because I'm scared of it. I just had been thinking I probably just don't really need it because I'm healthy. But what you've said, I think is
you've got to be a blocker. You've got to physically block it, because even though you don't have it, you can pass it on your hands. That's why I still wear my mask. That's why I still wash my hands. I had it a year ago, and it wasn't so bad with me. It was bad with my son. It was bad with my husband. But I still wear my mask. I still wash my hands, because even though I've had it, I can't cough it onto you. But what I can do is I can spread it on my hands from one patient to the last patient to the next patient. So the more people that get the vaccine, they create a buffer and they create a blocker and they inhibit. They can't get it. And also, if you get it, you don't just spread it to one person. You can spread it to 15 people, especially as we're going down in terms of wearing masks and social distancing and restaurants. So why not, think of it as your duty to not just your country. We're not being like Americans, God damn it. But think about our global society. Let's cut this thing out so it can't replicate, so it can't mutate, so it become something else. And if every person can go out there instead of just waiting, don't be reactive, be proactive. This is one thing you're doing. You're spreading knowledge. You have a very powerful position. Look how the people listen to your show. And if you can say, dude, I went out and I got it as soon as I can, and all the people that are listening out here, I encourage you to get it. Don't wait. Don't be passive. Be active. Be one of the people that's gonna prevent this from crossing through you to another person. And the more people that we have do that, then the more people that really realize it, the more quickly we're going to shut this thing down before any other variants are made.
Okay. I love it. I mean, I was really thinking of it as a statistical issue, right? Yeah. That enough people get it and a small percentage don't, that it would just kind of work itself out. But I like what you're saying. I think it's good advice.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, you're a physician, obviously in the health space. You're on the side of appearance and body image issues, etc. What are some of your tips for my guests, maybe, or my listeners that maybe don't have some of those issues, but your general health? I mean, you've been around the block. You've worked with a lot of people, including athletes. What are some of your top general health tips that you could share with us?
Number one, the most important thing, and this sounds crazy to hear a doctor say it, can I swear? Where you got your gosh dang seatbelt, And I know that people and I live in New York, and it's funny how few people get in Uber or get in, and they get in the back and they're just quick. And you could be the fittest person in the world. You can look like Phil Heath. You can be amazing shape, but when that car gets hit by a truck with 2 loads of gravel, it doesn't matter. You want to do everything that you can to make sure that you survive. So it sounds funny, but just that's thing number one. Then the other thing is just nutrition. If you're going to have any kind of surgery, I don't care about plastic surgery, or really a lot of healthy people have orthopedic surgery because they've just worn down their joints playing tennis or basketball or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have any surgery, you cannot go into surgery. And I'm saying this because this is the non-obvious point. General nutrition, and even I call hypernutrition, is not is not appreciated as people go into surgery, either a small surgery or a big surgery. And a lot of times what people will do is they think they're being fit, so they'll try and lean down before the surgery. But yeah, it's actually 180 mind flip, I call it, where you think the complete opposite. What we need to do, and what I encourage all my patients to do, is to hyper-nutritionize, which means load up on carbs, protein, and safe, clean carbs, good, clean carbs. I'm not talking about McDonald's, but good, clean, gourmet carbs are really nice things, but complex carbohydrates, so that you have plenty of fuel to do three things. First of all, to make sure you heal everything down so you don't get fluid collections, blood collections, anything like that. Second thing is so that you don't get any infections, because even with all the antibiotics you're taking, without enough fuel with nutrition, you can get infections. And the other thing for me, because I bank everything up in the shoulders and make the shoulders pop, and want people, if they don't have plenty of carbs, everything that we put in will immediately just be cannibalized, and then 5 years later, you're going to have that visceral fat that we all talked about. So those are like the main thing: nutrition and wear your gosh dang seatbelts.
I love it. And you're not a fan of low carb diets then?
I'm a closet keto diet person. 50% of my year, and you know what? I'm gonna flip, and I'm gonna say there's a lot of good keto data right now. Keto gets a bad, and when I say carb up, I mean obviously because you need excess fuel to go through a surgery or a busy.
You're talking very short term.
Yeah, very short term. I'm actually in my regular life, I'm a modified low carb diet person. Okay. Or if I feel like I'm getting a little when I had I broke my back because I fell into my pool house, and I told the guy he was going to build it 4 feet. I said, make it 8 feet, and I'll do your girlfriend's liposuction. So then I turned around and I fell into it and broke my back. Anyway, MCL, ACL, PCL, right? You people know about orthopedics. And so I had good surgeons. Nobody needed to operate on me because I did good nutrition. But one day I was getting out of the cab and I had to do that thing that old men do, where I was getting ready to go, but I had no core. So I step out of it and I actually had to do like the row your boat thing to get out of the cab. And I said, I'm not going to be that person. So I went on, like keto diet, which I do sometimes to really get it off quickly. And you have to be checked out by your physician. And obviously there are issues with cholesterol, et cetera. But I think we're going to see, there are politics involved, and it comes a lot from the cereal industry. I think we all know that. I'm not going to mention any names, but they have a lot of cereal to sell, and they always do this 4 food group thing. But I think we're going to see in the future that there are a lot of pros to going keto or paleo. But you have to be checked out by your physician. You have to make sure your cholesterol, everything else is good. But the key thing is like to get that weight off to live a healthier life. And that's who is it? The guy, Bill Maher, the guy from HBO, the guy that does all the rants. He had this, and it wasn't politically correct. That's a show. He went on for 20 minutes, and it was the most politically incorrect rant about people being overweight and people getting COVID. And it's a dirty little secret. Nobody can say it because it's anti big people, and it's shaming. But the realities of the science are the people that were overweight were sadly a lot of the people that got COVID and didn't survive COVID. And I really feel sorry for those people and for those families. And I think it's horrible. But during the months of COVID, I was working on which messages to get out people through my Instagram. And one of them was, get in the best shape you can, get those pounds off or get them off so that you feel good, and then make a body of armor so that you'll be the healthiest person, so that the next silent killer that goes through town, that floats through town, you're going to be immune to it because you've created a body of armor by your health, so that you won't have that. And that's another dirty little lie that no one would admit, the relationship of being overweight and COVID, because no one wanted to say it because it was third rail. You couldn't say it. It wasn't PC to say that. So people would just pretend that it didn't happen because they were afraid to talk about it because it was fat shaming. And I think it's
interesting.
I think it's a fact. And I think we have to let people to do it in a positive way, not to make them feel bad, but to say the next round when this thing comes around, God, gosh dang it, get in shape and get the fat off so that you fall out of that bell-shaped curve, so that you're less likely, if you do get COVID, you're much more likely to survive it. And it's an unpopular thing to say. Nobody wants to say it, but it's a scientific fact. It's a medical fact.
Fact is, I thought that was all it was. I was unaware of the controversy around Bill Maher or anyone else saying this. I mean, I've heard, maybe just because I'm in the health field and my sources of information are less based on CNN or other outlets. I mean, the three things we've heard from the beginning is the elderly, the obese, and the sick.
Yeah,
those are the three groups that are dying of COVID. Right. Very few people outside those three demographics are dying, and frankly, I thought that was common knowledge. And so, if
not, it is not. It is not. You know that because you listen to a lot. You listen to good outlets. You're aware of it. You read a lot. You're really into fitness. And when someone says something about that, you go. But a lot of middle America, the same people that think that the same thing, people who think that the vaccination is going to get them to buy more Microsoft stock, I mean, come on.
Poor Bill Gates. Right? Bill Gates is
there are a lot of, and I'm not even thinking of the weird QAnon people or all those weird conspiracy people. I'm talking like fundamentally, and the anti-vaxxers. We won't even talk about that. I'm talking about a lot of people, and sadly, some people that are in. We're trying to get minority populations in some of the more urban, and this is really sad. We're trying to get the urban people in the urban areas to get the vaccine, and this is an ugly part of history and of Black history. That historically there were some studies that were done earlier on, the famous studies where they denied some Black men treatments for syphilis because they wanted to see the natural evolution of the disease. Horrifying. Yeah. Control study, then they would give other groups experimental different antibiotics and things to treat syphilis, but they left these people uncontrolled. Can you imagine how horrible that is? And that has left some people in that community not trusting the government, and they won't go out and get that vaccine because they still remember that that's what their grandma and their great grandmother or great uncle told them, not trust the government, and they're always up to something. And that's just
right.
But it's a fact. So we need to re-educate people. It's so important.
Okay. Well, let's vote you for president. How about that?
I wanted that when I was a sophomore in high school, but I let that one go.
You're happy to be a humble physician.
I want to proselytize, but it's about men's plastic surgery, about people being healthy.
Well, this has been a very fun conversation. Thanks so much for coming on the show. How do people learn more about you? I imagine there's people listening right now that are thinking, I want to talk to this guy. I've got a couple things I'd love to have them look at. How do they do that?
They very easy. They can just go to maleplasticsurgery.com, talk about easy URLs. Took me a while to get that one. Maleplasticsurgery.com. They can go right to their Instagram to Male Plastic Surgery. Very simple. Or they can go to any one of our New York website. They can just Google Steinbrech or Google male plastic surgery anywhere in the country, and I'll be the first one to pop up and say hello.
and maybe aestheticprocedures.com will be bought off of GoDaddy and make me a little bit of extra cash.
Okay, we'll get you a little cash. Yeah, we'll make that.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show. And for those of you listening, this is Dave Sherwin wishing you health and success.